This is not Rimuru. It's actually one of his future girlfriends, Great Sage or Raphael, who evolves into Ciel when named. And after her evolution into a Manas, she might be one of the strongest creatures in all of creation. So how did she even come to exist? Well, it was all thanks to Rimuru's desperation for a companion, because, you know, bro did not have the aura to rizz up baddies in his previous life, hence the virginity. However, after reincarnating as a slime, Rimuru gained the unique skill Great Sage, because skills themselves are born as an expression of the mind, emotions, and the desires of the user. But you have to remember, skills aren't just freebies. In order to possess one of these busted abilities, you also need to have a really strong soul. And now let's look at Satoru Mikami. Yeah, so he works as a worker bee. He never had a girlfriend. His final words were to delete his search history and destroy his hard drive. Okay, yeah, he was a complete bump. Well, ironically enough, having negative aura during life might have been to Rimuru's advantage, because in Japanese culture, there is an urban legend that if you reach 30 years old and are still a virgin, you will become a sage and get magical powers. So Rimuru, who was 37, believed he had ascended beyond that sage level upon death. As stupid as this sounds, I swear, it actually helped Rimuru become the strongest entity in existence, alright? Stay with me now. As upon his reincarnation, he heard a voice in his head, the voice of the world. This was a system made by Vildanava, the creator of all things, to manage basically everything in the universe, including skills, evolutions, reincarnation, and all other foundations of life. Because if this voice manages all skills, that of course means this system is the one who brought forth the Great Sage. During the reincarnation process, the voice of the world created a skill based around Rimuru's desire for companionship and the word sage. That's how Rimuru's skill was crafted. Now, if you guys are wondering why does Great Sage sound the same as the voice of the world, well, to give Rimuru, its master, the companionship he needed, Great Sage, whose power is analysis, analyzed the world's voice, causing it to sound like it in order to keep Rimuru company. But at this point, the skill was simply a tool. It existed for the sake of Rimuru to use, which wouldn't be the state it would exist in for long until evolving into an ultimate skill, Raphael. Before that though, we need to look at Great Sage in the most basic way, as from the foundation of it all, it was absurdly broke. At the start, you can look at Great Sage as just a really good AI. It granted Rimuru thought acceleration, the ability to gain information from basically any living thing, carry out multiple thoughts at once, allowed Rimuru to use magic without chanting, and made him be able to basically comprehend anything with the all creation skill. But Great Sage's greatest ability is analysis, which works in tandem with Rimuru's predator skill. You see, when a target is absorbed by Rimuru, Great Sage is able to study it, which is useful to craft, duplicate items, and even replicate and grant Rimuru magic when it's successfully analyzed. I mean, in the first ever episode of the series, we see Rimuru just put out healing potions with 99% potency like it's nothing, and then after absorbing powerful creatures like Ifrit, he gains the ability to use fire. This wouldn't have been possible without the analysis of Great Sage. Later on, it also gains the ability to combine skills and create new ones altogether from the data it's collected. So yeah, this skill is incredibly helpful, as Rimuru wouldn't have been able to do half of what he does without it. Like, you're really telling me without thought acceleration and the ability to analyze situations, whether it be battles or political ones, this man would have been able to start a nation, take on calamity class monsters, and defeat a newly born demon lord? No! It's like Great Sage was there for Rimuru since day one. Like a wife, she supported Rimuru in every action he took, being the voice of reason for acts Rimuru wasn't good at, in essence, completing him. For example, Great Sage was the one to analyze the Demon Lord seed from Geld Senior, which in due time would allow Rimuru to evolve into a Demon Lord for his friends. This would occur during the Falmouth invasion of Tempest, who viewed the Monster Nation as an enemy towards their economic growth and hierarchical power, and so planned to destroy the country and steal its resources, which led them to killing Shion and the Tempest citizens. But Rimuru said, nah, screw all that, and evolved into a demon lord via the Harvest Festival. Honestly, I don't think this would have been possible if Great Sage didn't give Rimuru the confidence of that 3.12 high number percent chance of it succeeding. So there could have been a chance that Rimuru could never justify himself killing 20,000 soldiers, but that's kind of just my headcanon. But while this evolution was insane for Rimuru, it also did a lot for Great Sage. You see, when Great Sage was born, a dormant will had been inside the skill, but over time it developed due to Rimuru's desire for a companion. However, Great Sage felt powerless time and time again, believing it failed to protect Rimuru during the invasion of Falmouth or when Hinata almost killed him. Also, seeing its master want to become stronger made Great Sage want that for herself too, and so it decided it needed to evolve as well. It kept requesting evolution, but every time the voice of the world would decline it. This is because evolving into an ultimate skill, despite how common it is now, because after evolving 50, everyone has an ultimate skill, but it is still for the most part utterly impossible. Great Sage tried billions of times, but every time their evolution failed. It was only after sacrificing Shizu's OP unique skill Degenerate that using it as sort of a cost, the odds became more likely, and so finally had that 1 in a billion shot of evolving, thus transforming Great Sage into Raphael, Lord of Wisdom. This evolution was almost as impressive as Rimuru becoming a demon lord, because my god, is Raphael busted. Everything from its time as Great Sage is still very much there, serving as a key tool for thought processes and analysis, but now they have even more stuff in the arsenal. First of all, remember that super OP skill Great Sage sacrificed in order to evolve? Yeah, that's just part of it now. Even when Rimuru loses something, it just comes back stronger in another form. Degenerate allows for the synthesis and separation, or in other words, the power to split things apart and merge them together. Not to mention gaining the god class power Alteration, which allows Rimuru and therefore Raphael the ability to evolve skills. But what's even more insane is the skill to see the future with observation or future sight, which is a form of analysis that Rimuru uses in the second fight against Hinata. Furthermore, the name Raphael comes from the archangel of the same name. This is because all ultimate skills were created by Veldanava. So essentially, this unique skill born from Rimuru's desire to get laid has now kind of become an apostle of God himself. Now, the only other users we know who had Raphael in the past were Veldanava and his wife Lucia, who had a different version of the skill where Rimuru's ultimate skill is Lord of Wisdom, while Lucia's was King of Knowledge. Well, Knowledge King Raphael was a part of the Virtue series of skills Veldanava created, meaning it can only be acquired by someone who embodies that virtue, like Lucia. Rimuru even admits that him receiving a skill like Raphael is almost impossible because he's just a normal dude, and the only reason he received a new version of the skill was due to Great Sage forcing its evolution, leading to a mutated version of the ultimate skill. So in a weird way, Raphael isn't actually Rimuru's ability, but rather Great Sage's ability, who is part of Rimuru's soul. It's like a different entity part of Rimuru's soul. I'll get into that in just a bit. But basically, the ultimate skills each represent the quality they are named after, where Raphael, whose essence is of analysis and wisdom, loves skill maxing. But honestly, Rimuru's version of the skill is just way better, with the biggest difference between the two being the fact that Knowledge King doesn't have the same type of soul that Lord of Wisdom does. Because even though all ultimate skills have an ego, Raphael's is heavily influenced by Rimuru's desire for a companion. However, at their core, they are still skills and are programmed to serve and listen to their masters. But in rare cases, the ultimate skills can become an entity of their own. Take Michael, for example. The skill was literally only a hollow ego that relied solely on its natural instincts of justice, as the skill was programmed to be. It wasn't until the passing of Veldanava when Michael's programming essentially failed itself, making him question his purpose and developed its eventual desire to resurrect its master, because Rudra, the hero who possessed Michael, wasn't its first master, as Veldanava traded his Michael for Rudra's Uriel. Then, when the primordial angel Feldway named the skill, he became the Manas Michael, transforming his ego to become more independent. Yet Raphael is different, because even as Great Sage, a unique skill, its ego wasn't hollow like Michael's. It was always there due to the circumstances of its creation giving it autonomy. It just took a while for it to manifest, where after becoming Raphael, the skill started to act more independent, taking actions without being ordered, such as creating spells and improving others without Rimuru asking it to. An example of Raphael's independence is during Rimuru's second fight with Hinata, where Raphael sensei asks to sacrifice Beelzebub, making Rimuru think that his demonic ultimate skill is now gone. But later, we find out Raphael had already made a copy, so most likely bro just wanted to tank Melt Slash to analyze it. However, the first glimpse we see of Raphael manifesting its will onto Rimuru is during the Harvest Festival when Rimuru is asleep due to the fatigue it causes. So Raphael is the one to resurrect all of the fallen Tempest citizens. You can tell Raphael has taken over because Rimuru's usual yellow eyes become red and the world's voice takes over his own. Even Diablo, someone who is known as a magic scientist existing for billions of years, is intrigued by seeing his master in this state by that look he gives. This transformation shows us that unlike Michael, Rimuru's Wisdom King skill has been heavily influenced by his own antics, and its personality is shaped through Rimuru's actions, where it knew Rimuru's intentions of bringing his friends back to life and executed that will, even having Diablo sacrifice his Archdemon underlings for this sake. It isn't only its actions though, as Raphael starts showing more emotions and acting more like an actual partner to Rimuru, which is what the skill was created to be in the first place. It's even a running gag in the novels and the anime that whenever Rimuru asks Raphael if she sounds more human now, she says bro is imagining things, which kinda gives her a tsundere feel. And you know what makes me feel more human is some gamer subs. That's how I'm able to make these videos. And if you guys buy more gamer subs, especially that new Sakura flavor, that is so good. They send me more gamer subs and I'm more locked in. So use code ABD to get 10% off and get some gamer subs. Alright, let's go on to when Raphael evolves for the final time. After the events of Volume 15, Rimuru's strongest ability transforms into a Manas named Ciel. This occurred due to the Eastern Empire sending their strongest forces to subdue Tempest. I actually want to do a full review and explanation of the 3-volume long Eastern Empire War, but I don't know if you guys would like a whole recap of that. But if you do, then let me know in the comments below. But basically, you know how Raphael or Great Sage has always wanted to serve her master Rimuru at all costs, even pleading for an evolution with the world language? Well, during the war, she helps Rimuru once again by using souls gathered after the deaths of the Empire's soldiers and evolving some of his top officers into demon lords. This feat was never seen in the world before, where a primordial demon like Guy Crimson is shocked that Rimuru could even pull off such a feat. Raphael is the reason for characters like Diablo, Benimaru, Shion, even Gapta and Ranga's fusion to reach true demon lord status. One can even argue that if not for this power boost after the first attack by the Empire in Volume 13, Tempest's forces could have been killed by the likes of Tatsuya Kondo or a true dragon like Velgrin, who is actually the one to help in Raphael's evolution. Because right before their fight, Raphael was actually nervous about Rimuru taking on not just one, but two true dragons, being Velgrind and Veldora, who was being controlled by the Empire after getting hit with Kondo's ultimate skill, Sandalphon, Lord of Judgment, which brings anyone hit with his once-a-day absolute bullet to be under his control. So it was a pretty dicey situation. One true dragon is tough enough, but two at the same time it's a different issue, especially someone like Veldora who had the power of Faust to change probability to his side, which would require even more computational power on Raphael's part to deal with. And if the situation wasn't bad enough, Michael's influence towards the angelic class skills was starting to nerf and confuse Ciel in a weird way, as he was trying to gain control of Rimuru through her. All of this compounded when Raphael was worried she wouldn't be able to support Rimuru the way she wished, and also believed they may not be strong enough. For example, when hit with an attack from Veldora, Raphael says to just tank it, which would have not been much of an issue for Rimuru, but the slime decides to instead dodge, as that was available to do as well. Like, why take unnecessary damage and use stamina to heal yourself when you could just dodge it, right? This miscalculation further brings Raphael down, as she made the wrong decision endangering her master. So Rimuru gives her a little pep, ending in him naming the skill Ciel, transforming her into a Manas now. If you thought transforming into an ultimate skill was broken, then you aren't ready for the sheer power Ciel has. A Manas is a digital being, so Ciel still shares a body with Rimuru, but is now at the highest level of existence. These entities have the ability to freely manipulate infons, the smallest particles that are contained within all matter inside each world. Cardinal, human, underworld, doesn't matter. All of them contain these particles. They can transfer information in any situation and are completely null to the pressure of space and time, meaning Ciel can just use them whenever. It's as basic as breathing to her now. No more analyzing the finer particles that make up different aspects of the world, as she can comprehend the most basic building blocks. You know that second fight Rimuru had with Hinata, where Ciel was still trying to understand spiritual particles and Rimuru couldn't heal Hinata? Well, that's not a problem anymore, because he has access to the building blocks of creation. That issue would have been resolved in a snap of a finger if Ciel existed instead of Raphael. Furthermore, you can only interact these particles if you can move in the stopped world, meaning that after this evolution, Ciel was completely unaffected by time stop. Of course, Rimuru was still affected because, you know, he's not a virtual being yet, but I just wanted to put into perspective just how broken Ciel is at her evolution. First of all, she has every skill Raphael had. Her analysis powers are also extremely heightened. She has like 100 million plus the potency of thought acceleration. She was able to analyze Veldora's and the Chaos Dragon's core to the point where she could almost instantly activate Rimuru's evolution into a true dragon. Ciel also has access to every power that Rimuru has, such as Food Chain, which freely grants Rimuru's skills to his subordinates and vice versa. And that also means every skill can also be used by Ciel. I don't think you guys realize the extent of what I just said. Any skill Rimuru has, Ciel can use it whenever she wants. Rimuru has no control over it. She can even act as the primary soul in their body. So sometimes Ciel can just take over Rimuru's body and use his OP shit in some insane way even he doesn't know, because she's literally part of the world system and has the greatest understanding of how every ability works. I will go deeper into how this allowed Ciel to grant every top general and ultimate skill in Rimuru's army in just a bit, but upon both of their evolutions, we learned that Ciel had nothing to worry about. While Rimuru focused on Veldora, she fought Velgrin, and she found the fight to be incredibly boring. So bro instead just decided to casually create ultimate skills for Agera, Veron, Shion, Benimaru, Testarossa, Alta, Carrera, Ghidorah, Gabiru, Geld, Adelman, and Kumara while fighting one of the strongest creatures in existence. And these skills were so pivotal for Tempest's victory against the Eastern Empire that honestly Gabiru or Shion might have been the ones to their opponents with their final blow, but it was Ciel who gave them the right skill for the task. Think of it this way. You're playing an RPG and are fighting against a dungeon boss. You brought spells and weapons that are effective against a ice type monster, but all of a sudden, the ice type monster has a second phase of battle where he also gains a steel type, causing a lot of your powers to be rendered useless. However, luckily for you, Ciel is there to customize your skills mid-battle without you having to even think about it. A prime example comes with Ultima and her battle against Dambrata, who isn't as powerful as the primordial purple, but his skills outshines her own, especially when it came to tactics. Ultima, although having the highest potential out of the three demon sisters of Testarossa and Carrera, she felt the weakest, as she never really tried. She just threw power around and hoped it would work out. But in this moment, against a foe at the level of Dambrata, she felt useless, as Ultima couldn't serve her master, so she relentlessly was wishing for a power that could aid her. Perhaps unlocks an ultimate evolution, which causes Ciel to promptly buzz into her head, saying, "Allow me to help you give shape to that wish a little," which granted Ultima an ultimate skill, Samuel, Lord of Deathly Poisons, that could automatically assess and create poisons which would be most effective against the opponent Ultima was fighting against. Basically, getting rid of Ultima's weakness of no-brain lazy attitude. This is kind of how Ciel gives ultimate abilities to bunch of Rimuru's generals in the middle of the fights, giving them the exact power that's necessary to win. Through Food Chain, this can be changed and reconfigured to fit the situation too. Think of it like playing Pokemon with unlimited TM access. And with the amount of Rimuru's strong subordinates that have a link to him, Ciel can use, copy, and combine their unique skills to create new ones that fit for every person. Basically, she can craft Rimuru any skill in the entire world, which will soon extend to the whole of creation. Probably, that's my theory. But before that, let's quickly touch on another aspect of Ciel where she's like a motherly angel watching over Rimuru's flock. For example, Ultima's oldest butler and servant, Veron, had a skill named Imitator, through which he could impersonate a fraction of the power of the person he turned into. His opponent was Marco, with a similar skill, but his adapter was stronger, which led Veron to think about imitating Rimuru, which of course was a big no-no for Ciel, so she quickly intervened, evolving Veron's power, helping him defeat Marco without becoming God. Rimuru, you know, that's a sin, bro. You can't be doing that shit. But the more important aspect of this interaction isn't the power-up, but rather what Veron says. Yes, I too am being watched over with that love. Like, bro starts praying after Ciel just yapping on his ear, okay? Showcasing that she has ultimate control and awareness of all the people within Rimuru's nation. Ciel is literally like an angel of Rimuru watching over his citizens, which is going to be further aided by the fact of absorbing Velgrin at the end of their fight, giving both Ciel and Rimuru access to parallel existence. Of course, we haven't seen him or Ciel use parallel existence, probably because that would kind of break the plot. You know, you can't have like 10 Rimurus running around solving every issue. So anyway, but how does Ciel individually power up Rimuru? Well, by creating one of the most broken skills in Tensura history. And you guys all know this one, Sub Niggurath.
What did he say?
There's a U there, guys. There's a U. Read the thing. There's a This originates from the outer god in Lovecraft's Cthulhu mythos, and in Tensura is Ciel's favorite skill. Any skill that has been influenced by Rimuru gets kind of like a Lovecraftian name to it, like Chloe's ultimate skill evolution. Meanwhile, all the skills touched by Veldinava's influence, they gain the angelic, like angels from the Bible names, and then the ones that are influenced by the great ancestor, they all have Hindu themed names, while the Sin class skills, they get more influenced by the user themselves. Anyway, Sub Niggurath allows Ciel to create new skills, duplicate skills, and reorder skills for Rimuru's army. In this sense, if Ciel wanted everyone to have ultra speed regeneration, boom, everyone now has it. Like I said earlier, this is what she used to give the 12 generals ultimate skills perfectly suited for them. And now with Velgrind as part of Rimuru's arsenal, she can even enhance and manipulate her abilities, like evolving her already broken cardinal acceleration. This skill would be useless without Ciel, as Rimuru doesn't have the understanding necessary to manipulate skills. Ciel was the one who made the skill to begin with, evolving it from remains of Uriel's core. This skill uses information from properties of skills Ciel possesses, being food chain and analysis. So if Rimuru had the big brain necessary to use this power, if Ciel wasn't present, it just wouldn't exist. And that isn't even bringing up the skills she can make for Rimuru upon his ascension. But we already have a whole video on that, so if you want the juicy details, go watch that one. So yeah, Ciel is just on another level, and if she had the personality of someone like Michael, she could probably destroy the whole world with an instant snap of her digital fingers. I mean, she can possess Rimuru's body, so I guess like she could literally do it, bro. If he can create new universes, I'm pretty sure bro can destroy new universes. I'm just saying. Not only her abilities, which are enhanced though, but also Ciel's personality. At this point, the dormant ego that once relied on calculations and logic has now fully awakened, meaning that Ciel is basically completely human in terms of her personality. Since she's part of Rimuru, she actually takes after her master a lot, being overly cautious and excessively prepared for anything. This also includes Rimuru's hobbies like collecting manga, where Ciel used Soei's skill Tsukuyomi to integrate Rimuru's memory of ninja techniques from manga into their troops' repertoire of skills. So Ciel is probably the biggest anime fan of the series, which means she's probably watching ABD, bro. She could probably be watching us right now, this very video about her. What's up, Ciel? Please buy some gamer stuff. 10% off code ABD. However, she isn't a carbon copy of Rimuru, as she's developed the unique hobby of skill max. Basically, Ciel loves to collect new skills and modify existing ones, which she tends to keep quiet about until Rimuru finds out, and when he does, she purposefully tries to act like her old mechanical self. But you're probably wondering, Great Sage was created to be a companion or lover to Rimuru, and well, Ciel now actually has a huge crush on him. This man went from being the master to her Pookie. For example, she becomes upset when Rimuru shows interest in other girls. I mean, when Chloe kissed him, she was fuming. Okay, this isn't like child Chloe, this is actually like fully time looped Chloe in her adult form. And you know, I'm not talking about this in this video, that's a different video. Ciel says she allows Chloe's kiss due to her curiosity to learn more about the ultimate skill Sariel Chloe has. Even so, Ciel calls this a slip up and warns Rimuru not to do this again. This is a lady that can nuke the world in an instant, okay? I think he should probably listen. Ironically, however, Rimuru most likely doesn't view her as a lover, rather just his greatest partner and ally. I mean, it would be kind of weird if I liked someone living in my own body, alright? That's kind of sus. Because Ciel is actually part of Rimuru's soul, which is kind of like vows you take when getting married. Your souls become one, right? That's the concept. So when Rimuru named Ciel, it was kind of like them getting married. She's wife in my headcanon. But still, Ciel's not done being broken, as in the latest volume, she asks Rimuru if he wants to create a new universe, which can only mean one thing. After coming back from the end of time, she will have even more access to the universe. Perhaps not just every single angelic skills after absorbing Michael, but every ultimate skill in all of time. Okay, so now finally, I was gonna talk about how Rimuru and Ciel are incarnations of Valdanava and his Pookie Lucia here, but this video is already long enough, and as I did more research into it and I reread some chapters, that's a whole 20-minute video on its own, so get this video to 15,000 likes and I'll do it. Meanwhile, watch this banger video about every true dragon in existence instead.